And I probably won't stream too long right now, but I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something pretty fun. At least I think it will be. I've been just doing some client work that's a lot more real world-ish, and so I am going to dive into more of a flight of fantasy in the form of this. I want to make this like a cathedral city that looks like it was created by this insect race that has maybe used their own bodies to extrude the building material of these cities. So I'll be doing some drawing and just kind of figuring out an overall composition. But I've already made a bunch of, or cut out and made a bunch of these assets that I'm going to be referencing while I draw. And I'm going to be then using those to like composite and bash into this. So it's kind of it's definitely like a hybrid process. So yeah, I'm interested in questions and critiques and all that good stuff. If anyone wants to chime in on any of these platforms, and you can let me know if all the volumes are and everything. I'd appreciate that. So yeah, I'm gonna get started. So I want to have this like series of towers, and as the current AI tools like to do, everything is very head on, and so I'm just gonna roll with that. I'm looking to make more of just like an interesting atmosphere than anything like really specific. And what my main goal is to definitely create the feel of this very exotic type world that definitely feels I'm definitely going for let's see so I've got some of the raw materials that I'm looking at right now, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna warm up a bit by just drawing some of them. And by starting with the drawing, it's a really good way to not become too much of a slave to the assets. It can be very easy to fall into this trap. But yeah. I should have a second window that's actually showing what I'm looking at. That'd be pretty nifty, huh? Yeah, I'm going for something that definitely feels very vertical, like a cathedral. I think that would be really cool. I'm just posting to my Discord server, which I almost forgot that I have. I actually have some like stuff that I could put down here, website and all that. It's a little hard to see. There we go. There's the website, and there is the Discord. So you guys can see that now. I was actually streaming for this corporate thing where I didn't want to have that stuff, so forgot. All right, so right now I could definitely do some thumbnails. I want to have a couple of foregrounds. I want to have kind of an island over, probably to the right this time, of these, and it's probably going to have a bit of a similar vibe to that kind of TP city that I did before. Right now I'm kind of rolling with some of like what the AI tools like to do, and just kind of celebrating that, rather than trying as much to like bend it to a specific will. I can always reuse these pieces parts, these Legos for something else. And maybe I want to show some kind of like webs, maybe some kind of like it's a bit like the other one I was working on. Yeah, the goal here is definitely like flight of fancy. I was thinking very analytically over the past couple of days, so the joke is that I rest from work with more work. So I'll periodically shift over to like what I'm looking at, and so the truer I stay to some of these things, the easier it will be to do the compositing. This setting, this sub I have is super useful for virtual meetings. So if you use OBS, you can use something called OBS Virtual Camera, and you can just basically port all of your OBS stuff as one single camera feed rather than just screen share. And so you can very easily like swap between like self and iPad and desktop. I'm super into it. I just have to remember to switch back sometimes. So what I'm doing right now is I'm thinking about a big, large mega structure that has smaller spires. These are very much spires. They're very like Gothic looking, and I like having this kind of thing be, maybe it's more of a middle ground thing. In fact, I'm just going to select this whole thing and make a copy of it. Maybe something like this. And I really want this place to have like these weird threads and tendrils, and this will have to be something that I just paint by hand. I don't have any assets that are quite like this, but yeah, maybe something like this. And then to break that up and create a sense of space, we've got, maybe like a larger spire. And I'm not even sure what I want the aspect ratio of this to be yet. I'm going to move this stuff down. I'm still doing some thumbnailing here, so see, I've got all these great I love assisted drawing in Procreate. This is great. This autocomplete, fantastic. Yeah, feel free to drop something in chat if you've had any questions, or if you have feedback on the sound. I'm constantly tuning music volumes and stuff. So I want to show this idea that maybe all these buildings have been created by these creatures that have basically extruded. It's almost like when like insects will extrude a kind of saliva, or spiders will spin webs. To flip back to it here, I've got all these like really neat, really like this one, really neat shapes. And my whole idea is that maybe there's some kind of bioluminescence that's happening in all of these. I think that'd be really, really fun. And then I found this great little creature, trying to figure out if I want to make that some kind of a little statue or something. I actually really like it. I think it's creepy cute. It's got that like that kind of ugly cute that I think is fun. So maybe I can do something that looks kind of like the flying buttresses. I like the idea of like one big structure that's it's got this kind of like fractal relationship of like smaller structures coming off of it. Maybe a sense of tension in the structure. It's like there's some kind of tensile thing holding it up. I love tensile architecture. Yeah, I want it to look spindly and spider webby, and I forgot to switch back to my iPad. So here is, yep, I'm still getting used to this whole monitor switch, but once I'm used to it, it's gonna be great. So these ones already I'm gonna eliminate. They were just a stepping stone. So I just deleted those guys. We'll move these over here. You know what? All of these structures are pretty vertical, aren't they? I think I'm gonna try doing a vertical composition here. I'm so used to like using my doc grade notebook and I'd often use like an ID card or credit card to draw the lines. So I need to practice my freehand rectangles here. Merge that down. All right, I've got a few to work with here. And yeah, they don't have to be perfect. Should be enough to work with. So new layer. So I want to run with that same shape up here. Maybe I'll put it up to the side here and I could also play around with just bashing straight in Photoshop, and I find that in the short term, for one thing, it could be more fun to watch as a stream, but it doesn't often like yield the best results. So maybe I have arches. If I'm trying to like merge this kind of like gothic look with something that's like very organic, but not really make it look like I'm not really going for like the Beksinski look, although this will certainly have some of that like detail. But that's I didn't for the assets I didn't use any artist names. I tried this one running my name through it, but it didn't seem to make much difference. So yeah, something like this. I'm kind of liking this composition. Maybe have something up here that's you know, a big spire. I don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like that. It's probably not going to have a whole lot of negative space. Just a bit of a theme in my stuff. So I like that one enough that I'm going to iterate on it. Maybe I'll move it in here. So maybe what I'll often do is I'll draw something I like and I'll realize that the composition is just a bit too claustrophobic. So a lot of times I'll just like go in and resize. And I certainly have enough assets to be able to, I can do a bunch of stuff with these. I mean, each one of these like little spires I have assets for, so I may not want to move it too far in the background because these are really good shapes. This kind of free form thing, I can definitely put the cart before the horse a little bit. Not necessarily how I would work for client work, but for myself, I find that it's a form of visual play, you know. So yeah, the question is, do I have maybe some kind of a foreground that just takes up this whole thing? I think I will. I think I will because I often do the thing where I've got the foreground tower and the top of the tower in the foreground, but I don't really have a place where like things are walking around. And I kind of like the idea of some kind of a look over area. Of course, these things, the things that make architecture that would look like this are probably not necessarily like. They might not be like walking around on a lot of flat spaces. Maybe they're insects. Oh yeah, I mean like if maybe they've got the sticky feet thing going on, and so, you know, I could get a little more creative with say slope. Yeah, maybe they don't really care. And I want to have a whole bunch of spires back here. Maybe in and around this big bridge thing. And I'm thinking about having maybe some kind of cross, like X shapes. Oh yeah, and then I can have even more towers down here. I mean, this place. Oh yeah, I'm actually kind of liking this composition. I'll be doing some more drawing for sure, but I may end up like running with something similar to this one. I actually like working in purposefully in low resolution, just like my very small, minuscule sketches in my sketchbook. The same. And now I have this idea of like, you know, looking at that bridge, like back here. I kind of want to do something with like this big arc bridge that has. Oh, I know. I'm gonna make these like stalactites. There's gonna be a big arc. I love this kind of concept of like, you know, the upside down city idea. So yeah, let's do some kind of like a canopy or overhang. been talking with a publisher about maybe doing a course about this type of thing. So definitely open to like suggestions, specific questions, that kind of thing. I guess if I wanted to actually roll this into a course, I would probably stream. Well, not. I would probably stream without my without music or without my face. That way, I could like edit stuff in and post. I kind of like how this looks like a mouth with teeth. That's kind of a cool metaphor. It's like there is something very menacing and sinister about some of the shape language, and I like the idea that maybe like these are very perfectly nice beings. You know, like they happen to make architecture that looks like this, but they. You know what's probably actually what's happening here is that you have a larger, more intelligent type of species that is designing these, but there is a type of insect. Maybe it's a bit of a relative to them. Maybe it's a very distant relative, or maybe it's not related to them at all. But this insect is the one that's more like the spider that actually extrudes the building material, and they have some way to use chemical signals like pheromones to command these smaller insects in order to tell them where to extrude. But the insects don't do a perfect job, you know. I mean, like look at these structures right now. They are, they're not perfect. They are not in any ways like symmetrical. They are not regular, or any of that stuff. So. Yeah, trying to pull in that mouse archetype, but I also want to put something in the foreground. I think here is probably a pretty good spot to put it. So my only real constraint right now is this kind of head-on camera angle. That's something that, you know, I can't really. I don't really want to deviate from. Yeah, I mean, I could. I can use a lot more warping and do puppet warp, positing, and everything to make it come from whatever angle I want. But right now, I'm going more for atmosphere, and I just have a huge backlog of like different paintings, images I want to make. This is a good way to decompress from. Again, doing a type of work that is very different than this, and so this is my fun times. So one of the reasons I like to stream my fun times is A, there's no NDA, which is important, but B, it's like I don't know. I hope I get to share and spread that fun, and I especially like engaging people, taking suggestions. Taking crits, whatever people want to throw. So here you have this thing that looks like a mouth, but it also has a spire going directly through it. Yeah, something kind of like that. Hello, Denise Broden on Facebook. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm streaming on multiple platforms. So I'm going to engage with all the comments. I'm able to see comments from YouTube, Facebook. I don't know if Twitter. I haven't gotten comments from Twitter, even though I know I've gotten views. So I don't know what's going on with that. Um, it's more like I'm using Restream. Why not, right? So I'm going to try flipping this, getting a sense of like whether I still like it. And I think I'm just going to start something from scratch here. Oops. If you wonder how I'm doing keyboard shortcuts, I have this very nifty little device. So this is a like little Arduino soldering kit. I 3D printed the case to if you're interested in that soldering board and kit, you can Google Jose Verdugo, who sells the baseboard, and you have to buy the NRS52 Bluetooth and the battery and all that. But you at least and you can even get the kit where it's just the baseboard, and you have to get all the components. But even the part shortage right now, I don't even know if that's possible. A lot of board components unavailable. Denise on Denise on Facebook says from that flip view, it makes me think of a rat's maw. Yeah, a little bit. Actually, I totally see it now. It's pretty funny. I mean, the theme of this is supposed to be like insectoid kind of stuff. I really do like the idea of like kind of the motif of a mouth. I think that's just like it's a fun concept. I'm gonna keep playing with that. I mean, what if I just got super literal with it, and it would just look like a C? Oh, maybe it's a tunnel that has these different. So it's like a mouth, but it's like extruded, like this way. That's kind of a fun idea. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Because yeah, I don't want it to look like a rat. But I can totally see how like this looks like the eye kind of, and boy, that's kind of uncomfortable. It's like a big spiky thing going through an eye. I'm not sure about that. I'm trying to dance the line a bit between like comfortable and beautiful, and I really like the idea of like a species that makes architecture that looks uncomfortable, but it is very comfortable to it. So I'm going for something that maybe you've got this like nested tunnel, and the tunnel has stalactites and stalagmites, which are essentially you know, these assets. And maybe you have something going. Oh, I know. That spider webby thing is like a highway that's going through the tunnel. This is actually something I would like to do for Chroma Circuit too. Is not just like the spider web inspired type road, but also something going through a tunnel that looks like a mouth, but it's extruded. If anyone's ever seen like fasciated flowers, I'm kind of thinking of that for this. Once again, though, I don't get that kind of vista I wanted unless I make it wide view. Well, see, like it's kind of it's really great doing personal work when you're not married to a specific aspect ratio, because a lot of times this will happen to me. I'm going to merge all these. The convenience of keeping everything on separate layers is not worth the inconvenience of then dealing with all those layers. It was one of the longest and hardest lessons I had to learn doing this. So yeah, now that I have this on its own layer, I can go in and I can duplicate this, and then I'm gonna merge down again, and let's break this barrier. Maybe this top part. Ooh, I know this top part doesn't continue, but the bottom part does. That's a great shape. I'm a fan of that shape. That's pretty great. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's. And then this gives me plenty of room for a vista. Yeah, I dig it. Maybe I should even just make this full-on widescreen. Certainly leaves a lot more room to do stuff. One thing though is that I think I need to mess with the perspective. Is that this is too bird's eye for me, especially for the assets that I have constrained myself to. Let's see if I can still get the character of the shape that I liked. I do think that the organic nature of this world would necessitate some more curved shapes. Yeah, a lot of the times I end up doing something like this, and I'm like thinking, I'm tired of thinking of Chroma Circuit. I'm tired of thinking of the client work. I want to do something completely different, and then I start doing it, and I go, wait, this could be something for Chroma Circuit, and it's almost hard for me to, like, even if I'm trying to be unproductive, if I'm doing some kind of visual thing, it's gonna happen. It's not a bad problem to have, at least in my value system. So yeah, I don't know how much I want to make the thinking about maybe taking some of these and making them actually go at a different angle. I'm starting to run out of room on here, so I'll move this guy here. And this thing was just kind of warm up, really, so I'll just make it smaller. And I'm not working in a very high res right now. I'm really just trying to like get ideas out. So for anyone new in here, I'm referring to I generated and isolated a whole bunch of isolated a whole bunch of assets, so you can see them here. So yeah, I'm designing compositions that are able to incorporate at least some of these, and I can always generate more later and like hone them based on what I want for this composition, so that I'm not a slave to this toy box. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of focusing on all of these types of spire shapes. So Puzzlarium on Twitch says, I like number 5 from Castles as part of the racing game. Sounds cool. Yeah, especially if they're like weird insect castles. I don't know. I keep being drawn to this idea of like insectoid fantasy creatures. I feel like there's so much you could do with that, and I just haven't seen that explored very much. Let me make another larger. This drawing assist, I swear. If I hold too long, it makes a line rather than a. There we go. Just trying to get close enough. I've made templates before, but I find that templates can kind of sabotage and box in my thinking a little bit, unless I'm maybe using like a dot grid notebook. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can totally just use a grid, can't I? Drawing guide. Edit drawing guide. We're going to make the grid size smaller. We're going to make it low opacity so it's like barely seen. And yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help to draw these things. I keep forgetting that Procreate has this. It's super useful. Just going to be barely there. In fact, you might not even see it at the quality of the stream. Oh. Huh. Did I just like turn it off? Oh, that's weird. Oh, I see. I made it close to white, though. I'll make it the classic like copy blue. Ah, okay. Now I know what happened. When I click done, that's kind of a that's a bit of a UX flaw right there. Is they make it very easy to select the wrong color for your grid. So if I were just looking at these assets right now and not thinking about making anything cool, I would have one big one here, kind of, I don't know, about a golden ratios width over to the side. I'm just trying to get this one out of my system because my thought is I could repurpose it for maybe just a background vista. So you got all these spires, and then you've got these things that look almost like insect legs coming out, and this is sort of, these are like stabilizer legs. Could almost look a little bit like viruses or something. Yeah. So yeah, definitely drawn to that symmetry. And oh, I know. Maybe instead of the legs being at the bottom, got legs coming up from the top that are holding separate towers. So, oh yeah, then I get that whole like weird mechanical-looking gothic tree kind of a vibe. I dig that. something like that is kind of interesting to me. Like, oh, I kind of break up the symmetry, make something that's kind of tree-like. Maybe I can even get a little more granular with it. Here, let's take a version of it and duplicate and take it and then flip horizontal and make it smaller. And so reformat a little bit and put it back here. And although I often do this thing where, actually, yeah, let's cluster it. And then with the middle ground one, you can kind of like one of the commenters says use this a bit quiet. How is this now? I just turned it up a little bit. Okay. Probably fine. And maybe over in this left corner, I'll give it something that's big, and I don't want to do the thing where I just have something right. Having something that just is nested perfectly in a corner is a bit of a tangent, but something like this, and say I'm safe from that. Yeah, something like that. The nice thing is that now that I have these assets, I can do multiple compositions with this look, and every time I do it, it will be faster because I can lift assets from previous compositions. There's something I love about digital art. You can steal from yourself. So now I'm going to play around with that idea of having arches that have stalactites and stalagmites and kind of like the same structures. I just don't want this to look too samey either. There's definitely a balance, and that's one of the dangers of using both photo bashing and like on AI bashing. Bashing anything is just once you have like a really consistent asset, it can be pretty tempting to only use those assets, which is certainly what I did in the last time I streamed something similar to this. And like, it's not always a bad thing. Self-consistency is actually fine, and you see it a lot in good art. It's like harmony. When I design cities, I try to make it look like they're not all designed by the same exact constructor or architect, unless it's something that like the story specifically calls for. But I don't always succeed at that. And now that I have this nifty grid, I can much more easily just like do my straight line thing. Having a messy box actually helps me be bolder with my compositions. It's like a little fun, like, it's not even very true to the grid, but oh well. So unfortunately, I won't be able to stream for very long today. I may end up picking up on the drawings another time rather than arriving at just one. I'll keep going a little bit, but I have a bunch of client work due tomorrow. This has been sort of like a little reprieve from practical real world stuff. What I'm playing with now is this idea of maybe having these like flat membrane areas. I've been looking for more art outlets for teaching in like environmental and architectural design. I'm definitely open to suggestions from people in the comments about you know where they would prefer to find a course. Or I don't have time to do a lot of critique work, so pre-recording a course is more of what I'm looking for now. Streaming is great for getting some of that practice for it, sure. I kind of want to go back to that whole idea of the cave, the seed shaped thing. Denise Broden on Facebook says, "I'm currently designing a studio, so this has been very helpful. Thanks." Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I know this isn't sort of like a ground up thing. I'm just kind of jumping into it. But yeah, I hope if you have any specific questions about this stage of the process or something, I'm definitely down to answer them. What kind of city are you designing? So I'm doing the thing where I often draw a subject that fills the entire scene, and then I realize it's a little less of an environment, and it's more of like, a just an object design. And I'm constantly kind of playing between. I'm very much an object designer. I have done prop design. I am both object and spaces, but I often think in terms of when I'm thinking about architecture, I think of the individual unit, and then I think about how that unit fits into the space. And So what's cool about this is you can just kind of so I'm going to cut and paste this. Oops. Layers. See, if I had more space on this screen, I don't know. Is there a way to pin layers in Procreate? I don't think there is. It might be. I actually haven't watched a course on Procreate yet. I just kind of jumped in. But for all I know, there's a hidden way to do it. So I'm duplicating this, and I'm going to show how you can kind of iterate on a concept. And yeah, for the I'm going to go back for anybody new. This is some of the these are some of the assets I'm planning to use for the final. And so you got to get a sense of where all these sharp shapes are coming from. And so yeah, I can then just take this, I can once again rescale it, and then go back and even further layer, and just kind of keep doing that. And that's kind of, you can almost make an animation with it at this point. It's like a zoom in. Oh, exciting news, exciting news. So my computer, that I thought I'd have to wait until like the end of Q3, I just got an email saying that it's going to ship soon. So that means that I can make the zoom in animation that I wanted to, because I was running into some performance problems with this laptop, and the thing I'm getting is an actual tower, so it's going to be awesome. I definitely get more bang for the buck, and it's going to have a fair amount of bang, so I'm pretty looking forward to it. It will inevitably take forever to set up. I have way too many pieces of software and plugins, but I'm pretty stoked about that, because I can have that sitting over in a corner and ripping on the render while I do other stuff. Yeah, I've been waiting for a while for this machine. My current one is just a laptop, and it's over 4 years old, so I am definitely looking forward to that. So for these flat parts, I'm just going to take, like, a piece of one of these assets, I think, and I'm just going to stretch and repeat it in order to make some of the stained glass parts that will go on it. So it's not like every single thing needs to look like a spire, I've just I'm trying to riff on the existing design language, and it's really nice to have that constraint. I really like the workflow of kind of starting with the pieces parts, and then rather than trying to assemble the pieces parts, do a drawing. And I feel like that's really the best of both worlds in a lot of instances. This is a process I also use when I make complex 3D scenes as well. Right now I'm just trying to think of, I'm just drawing kind of lines of abstraction where I want this to kind of move. And I like the idea of these kind of crisscrossing, diagonals that are punctuated by these very stark spires. I think that could be like a really sharp, kind of a snappy, impactful kind of an image, like something with real punch. And this is also a great concept art for the game. I totally could see racing through these spires, Man, I wish I had a gliding. I wish the racing game had gliding. I have told myself that until the core game is done, I'm not going to think about gliding. At least the core like gameplay part. I like the idea of it being something you unlock later. Like not all tracks will have it, because the problem with as soon as you add anything aerial, it opens this big track design can of worms. You know, people can skip over stuff and all that. But oh boy, so many of my ideas involve gliding. Maybe you have these type of cocoon shapes, or I could definitely go through some of my. Actually, the great thing about AI is that I can just add cocoon to the prompt and see what it comes up with, and try to get it so that the colors and everything can mesh with these colors, and then I can really make something that harmonizes. I want this to be slightly bird's eye view, just like the last one I did. Anyone on Twitch who knows of other concept artists who do this type of drawing, let me know. I'd like to watch their streams. I've been trying to find streamers who do like drawing work and kind of like this like rough, compositional stuff and like ideation stuff. I haven't actually found anyone, but I may not be looking in the right places, so. Seems like a lot of this is kind of word of mouth. So I'm going to go back to that whole tunnel idea that was in this one. Go ahead and switch these. So I've done some fancier things with Procreate, like digital painting, but its strength for me is really in drawing. There's always a process that I wasn't a big fan of in Photoshop. So, best of both worlds, right? going to take this and I'm going to flip it. I'm going to have to just fake my own depth of field with it. The ones I generated actually have a good bit of depth of field, and you know one of the reasons why is because I used the word grasshopper as one of the prompt words. Anything that has a small thing, like jewelry is another good one that you use in a prompt, will just give the image a depth of field, which is a very cool way to try to control the AI. It's definitely like there's kind of wrangling involved. It just takes like a lot of trial and error. If you don't enjoy the process of playing with it, you know, you're gonna have a hard time feeling like you can control it at all. And the great thing about keeping everything on its own layer is that you can just bounce around. Working on one thumbnail at a time. I used to do this thing in Photoshop where I would use vector masks to very carefully like parcel out each thumbnail, and I would just inevitably try to paint in other thumbnails without realizing it, and then end up spending like 20% of the time just cleaning up. It's like, never again. I like to treat this software as sort of just like pencil and paper, but with a few perks. And one of those constraints of pencil and paper is like not have everything kind of bazillion layers. Yeah, this kind of like Gothic tree cathedral. This actually, this is actually something that could be done in Chroma Circuit too. Really give this some more depth here, because the problem with this is looking a little samey. These are almost not full thumbnails. These are more like drawings. I actually kind of prefer to go in and, you know, put in a little bit of detail in the thumbnails, because the act of putting in that detail gives me ideas. It gives me compositional insights. I just found that for myself. I understand why they recommend to students to start with, like, you know, just like, you know, 2 values, super small. It makes total sense. That's good blanket advice. But I've kind of deviated from that a bit. So for anyone in here who doesn't know what I'm referencing, it's all these things I generated that I intend to use as pieces parts for the final. Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to do the tunnel. I keep reminding myself. Oh, right. I was going to do the tunnel, and then I was like, well, this could be the background for the tunnel. And and then I just started working on that background. I don't know, it's a good way to stay fluid, stay open. Like, Maybe I can have regular big spires with, it's got some stuff happening at regular intervals. Otherwise, it's going to look almost more like natural mineral growth, which I'm definitely going for something a little bit mineral. Maybe these creatures that subjugate the very small insects. Maybe they're not subjugated. Maybe they're just doing their thing. But we'll say harness. Maybe the creatures that are designing these buildings and harnessing the insects to help to build them. Maybe they're using minerals to help to like mineralogy. They're growing crystals to use as part of this glassware. I'm wondering. I mean, it could be a species that's advanced enough to be able to, like, Boltonize silica and just make regular glass too. But maybe it's a little more irregular than how we can get ours. So could be on a different world where there's another mineral that's very common for this. Well, I've got a bunch of stuff to work with now. Unfortunately, client work calls, so I'm going to have to cut this short. But I would definitely like to resume it soon. And for anyone watching Twitch, if you have any suggestions on the stream, I have a suggestion box. Check out the Chroma Circuit project, which is kind of my main focus right now. There's a link at the bottom. You can join the Discord group, which is kind of talks about all kinds of things. So we've got a lot of like creative people in game dev and stuff, so we have a creative support group right now. Definitely check it out. And thank you for everybody who stopped by. I hope you have a great night.